There may be some gunfire in the background. We are going to ignore that altogether. Warfare is a matter of vital importance to the state. It is the ground of life and death, and the path to survival or ruin. With these words, Sun Tzu establishes that conflict is not an opportunity for glory or a display of courage, but a cold existential necessity. This analysis utilizes the 2008 Penguin Classics edition, which is what I have here, to explore the core pillars of a text that has survived over 2 millennia. In the ancient Chinese world of the warring states, conflict was constant. The art of war was written to provide a systematic way to survive the chaos. It argues that a victory is not a matter of luck or divine favor, but of calculations. Before a single soldier is moved, the commander must analyze the situation through 5 constant factors: the way, heaven, earth, the commander, and method. The way represents moral harmony. It is the bond between the leadership and the people. If the people are aligned with the goal, they will follow into danger without hesitation. Heaven refers to the variables of time and nature, such as the seasons and weather. Earth represents the physical geography, including distances and terrain. The commander must possess wisdom, integrity, humanity, courage, and discipline. Finally, method involves the organization of the army and its logistics. When these 5 factors are weighed against those of the enemy, the outcome of the war becomes a mathematical certainty. One of the most profound ideas in the text is the inherent danger of a long campaign. Sun Tzu is a pragmatist who understands that war is a massive drain on resources. He states that no country has ever benefited from a prolonged war. When an army remains in the field for too long, weapons grow dull, spirits flag, and the treasury is emptied. The text advocates for speed and efficiency. A wise commander forages on the enemy. One load of the enemy's provisions is worth 20 of your own because it eliminates the logistical nightmare of transporting supplies over great distances. If you blunt your weapons and exhaust your strength in a long siege, your neighbors will take advantage of your weaknesses. The goal is to finish the conflict quickly, or better yet, to win without engaging in battle at all. To win 100 victories in 100 battles is not the highest excellence. The highest excellence is to subdue the enemy's army without fighting. This is the central paradox of the work. The most successful general is the one whose name might never be known because he won the war before it started. The text provides a clear hierarchy for the use of force. 1. The best path is to attack the enemy's strategy. You must break their plans while they are still just ideas. 2. If that fails, the next step is to attack their alliances. Isolate the enemy so they have no support. 3. Only then should you attack their army in the field. 4. The absolute worst option is to attack walled cities. Besieging a city is seen as a sign of failure. It is slow, bloody, and wasteful. The perfect victory is one that leaves the state intact. If you destroy the kingdom that you seek to conquer, you have essentially failed. A critical concept of the text is Shih, which is the configuration of power or strategic potential energy. To explain this, Sun Tzu uses the metaphor of a round boulder perched on a high mountain. The boulder itself is just a stone, but its position gives it terrifying potential energy. A great commander does not rely on brute strength or the individual bravery of his men. Instead, he focuses on the Shih of the situation. He positions his forces so that the victory becomes an inevitable gravity. When the moment is right, the force is released like the snapping of a crossbow. The battle is simply the final release of a pent-up potential energy that has already been meticulously arranged. The commander is like the man who removes the wedge from under the boulder. He does not provide the force. The environment and the positioning do the work for him. All warfare is based on deception. This is perhaps the most famous and most misunderstood line in the text. It is not merely about lying. It is about managing the enemy's perception. To win, you must become a shapeshifter. When you are capable, you must appear incapable. When you are near, you must appear far. If the enemy is at ease, tire him. If he is united, sow dissension. If he is arrogant, pretend to be weak. You are creating a formless presence. If the enemy cannot see your true intent or position, they must prepare for an attack from every direction. By being formless and silent, you force the enemy to disperse their strength. You remain a single concentrated point of force while they become 1,010 weak points. You are essentially a ghost, manipulating the enemy's mind until they exhaust themselves fighting a shadow. This psychological manipulation ensures that the enemy defeats themselves before the physical contact occurs. The text argues that an army should be like water. Water takes no constant shape. It takes the shape of the vessel that holds it. Water avoids the high ground and rushes to the low. In the same way, an army must avoid the full, which is the enemy's strength, and strike the void, which is the enemy's weakness. This flexibility is key to longevity. A rigid structure will eventually break under pressure, but water flows around obstacles and eventually wears them away. By staying fluid and adapting to the enemy's movements, a commander maintains the initiative. You do not struggle against the current. You move with it, directing the flow toward an inevitable victory. This concept of void and full is the basis for all successful maneuvers in the field. It allows a smaller force to overcome a larger one by concentrating strength against a local weakness. Sun Tzu categorizes the world into types of ground, but these are actually studies in human psychology. The terrain dictates how the soldiers will feel and act. Dispersive ground occurs when fighting in your own territory. Here, soldiers are easily distracted by thoughts of home and family. Focal ground represents the crossroads of the world, where you must form alliances to survive. Death ground is the most critical terrain mentioned. This is ground where there is no retreat, where the only options are to win or to perish. On death ground, the commander must block the exits. When a soldier knows there is no escape, his fear disappears and is replaced by a desperate, ferocious courage. Throw them into a position where there is no escape and they will die before they flee. This shows a deep understanding of human nature. The closer a man is to death, the harder he will fight to stay alive. A leader who understands these terrains can manipulate the morale of both his own troops and the enemy. Even a perfect strategy can fail if the leader is flawed. The text warns against 5 dangerous traits that can lead a general to ruin. Recklessness leads to destruction. Cowardice leads to capture. A hasty temper can be provoked by insults, leading to poor decision making. A delicate sense of honor is sensitive to shame and can be manipulated. Finally, over solicitude for the men exposes the leader to worry and trouble, which can cloud his judgment. The ideal commander is a detached figure. He sees the battlefield as a system of calculations, not as an arena for personal ego or emotional outbursts. He cares for his men as if they were his own children, but he is willing to lead them to death ground if the situation demands it. He is a cool actor who remains calm while the world around him is in chaos. His primary loyalty is to the mission and the survival of the state, not to his own reputation. The book concludes in a surprising way with a chapter on intelligence. To Sun Tzu, foreknowledge is the only thing that separates a genius from a fool. You cannot get this knowledge from spirits, gods, or rituals. You must get it from people who know the enemy. He details a divine web of spies, including local spies, internal spies, and the most valuable of all, the converted spy or double agent. The double agent is the key to the enemy's heart because they provide the information necessary to turn the enemy's own plans against them. Without intelligence, war is a blind game. To fight without information is the height of inhumanity because it leads to unnecessary slaughter. The spy is the highest paid and most trusted person in the army because they allow the commander to see what is invisible to everyone else. The use of spies is the ultimate expression of the sage commander's wisdom. In the end, The Art of War is a work about the economy of force and the preservation of life. It teaches us that conflict is a failure of intelligence. If you find yourself in a struggle, you have failed to calculate properly. By understanding the mechanics of power, the necessity of detachment, and the power of being as fluid and formless as water, one can navigate a dangerous world. The text is a reminder that the greatest victories are the ones that leave no mark. These are the wars that were won before they even began, through the subtle manipulation of perception and timing. It is a timeless masterpiece that challenges us to solve our problems not with our fists but with our minds. Whether applied to the battlefield or to the complexities of modern life, the principles of Sun Tzu remain as sharp and relevant today as they were 25 centuries ago.